How they were duped by a quiet and polite Laundrie in a heartbreaking new interview. Charles Watson is outside the Laundrie home in Northport, Florida, with more on all of this. Charles.
Hi, John. Gabby Petito's family confirms to Fox News that they did indeed pick up Gabby's cremated remains from the mortuary in Jackson, Wyoming. Meantime, the family is opening up about how they felt tricked by Brian Laundrie. In an interview with 60 Minutes Australia, the family says they worried about Gabby going on that road trip out west, but believe she would be fine because Brian, a young man they thought was, quote, quiet and polite, would protect her.
I told her to be careful, be safe, make sure to be aware of your surroundings. Don't trust everybody. But I felt safe because she was with Brian, and I felt like she would be okay. I thought he would take care of her.
Law enforcement continue their search for Gabby's fugitive boyfriend 1 month to the day his parents reported him missing. The manhunt has stretched from Florida to parts of North Carolina and Tennessee, but Brian, who was wanted on bank fraud charges and is the only person of interest in the investigation of Gabby's murder, is still nowhere to be found. This morning, Brian's father, Chris Laundrie, was seen loading boxes into a red pickup truck before returning to the family's Northport home without saying a word. A couple of hours later, demonstrations picked up again in front of the family's lawn, with protesters from as far as Pennsylvania and Arizona demanding the Laundrie speak up and publicly plead with Brian to give himself up. Tensions between protesters and neighbors who are sick of the shouting and the constant barrage of Laundrie home onlookers is reaching a boiling point. One frustrated neighbor getting into a shouting match with several protesters on the street today. One protester telling neighbors to help them if they want to get rid of them.
Sick of this and you can't sleep? Put your flip-flops on and your robe and walk on over there and start pounding on that door and be like, hey, Roberta, this needs to go. Let this family get peace. This poor girl was way too good for your son.
And John, these protesters are not giving up. They say they want to keep the spotlight on the Laundries. And so far, we've seen at least one protester has been out here for at least 8 hours today, John.
Charles Watson from Northport, Florida. Thanks, Charles.
Continue their search for Gabby's boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, 1 month to the day that his parents reported him missing. Law enforcement have focused in on the Carlton Reserve in Northport, Florida, and parts of the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina and Tennessee, who was wanted on bank fraud charges and is the only person of interest, at least publicly, in the death investigation of Gabby, is still in the wind. This morning, Brian's father was seen loading boxes into a red pickup truck before returning to the family's Northport home. For days, protesters have showed up in front of the family's lawn demanding they cooperate. They've hammered signs into the grass reading "Dirty Laundrie, Justice for Gabby," and some have even left baskets of soiled laundry. But I have to tell you, it's getting pretty tense out here between protesters and some of the neighbors who are tired of all the noise and the constant barrage of people who drive past, film, and shout at the Laundrie's home. That said, these protesters say if the neighbors are sick of them, they need to come out and convince the Laundries to plead for Brian to turn himself in.
If you're sick of this and you can't sleep, put your flip-flops on and your robe and walk on over there and start pounding on that door and be like, hey, Roberta, this needs to go. Let this family get peace. This poor girl was way too good for your son.
And Arthel, the protesters have packed it up for the day, but right now in Blue Point, New York, the first fundraiser for the Gabby Petito Foundation ongoing, expected to go until 7 o'clock this evening. Arthel?
That protester, Marissa, her passion and anger is understandable. Charles Watson, thank you. Eric?